I just, did a talk recently at a masjid, and I asked the question. I said, what is the greatest enemy? And there were some youth mixed in with adults, and I heard the first 2 or 3 answers was shaitan. And so a lot of us are conditioned from a very early age to know that indeed shaitan is our great mortal enemy. Until we die, we know Iblis is there. But then we don't know quite that there are other evils as well that we are going to be tested with. So we have to understand what those are and how our daily interactions with these all 4 really do affect our ability to guard that heart, right? And so the first one here is the material world. The dunya is often, interchanged with the world. And so people think, what, the whole world is bad? No, of course not. There's beautiful aspects of the world. And then there are parts of the world that are low, because the word, dunya comes from, this meaning of low place. It's a lowly place. And so what is lowly about the dunya? It's the things that distract us from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And, there are many other aspects of it, but here's just a short list of things that take us away from the remembrance of Allah, of ways that we are tested by the evils of the dunya. And we have to be aware of them so that we know how to avoid them. If we're not even aware, then clearly we are going to be affected and fall into those traps. And so the next evil that we should be aware of has to do with our whims and desires, right? Or our hawa. And it's really individual. It's very subjective. So a person, some people might have interests or desires or temptations in one area, another person may another, or you may change based on circumstances or based on age, based on experience. But hawa is something that is constantly, going up and down and can push us one way or push us another way. And if we don't learn how to regulate it, have it under control, then we can fall victim to it. And a lot of people, they won't realize that it's their hawa that's compelling them to act, but they will be deluded by their own ego to think that it's something worthy, it's something good, when in fact it is actually a whim or a desire. So we have to pay attention to our own individual inclinations and those things that tempt us, those things that call us away from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and see them for what they are. They are absolute enemies, and they're things that we can easily succumb to if we're not aware of them. And then we have the next one is the most obvious one, which we all know. But I think just to, again, remember how he operates, because there is this notion and this almost, a tendency to absolve oneself of responsibility by scapegoating everything on shaitan. And we have to know what is truly something that was, that we were incited by shaitan, and something that came from our own self. And then to also know that once we are habituated to a sin, when we start doing something we shouldn't be doing, the next time we do it, if we're repeat offenders, we keep doing it, we can't, again, blame shaitan for that, We are responsible for our own actions. So shaitan can whisper to us, he can push us in a certain way, but ultimately we are responsible for following those whisperings, or, for following through with action. O you who believe, you shall embrace total submission. Do not follow the steps of shaitan, for he is your most ardent enemy. So ardent enemy is also really important. He will chase us basically until our last breath. He will be there to destroy us, and he doesn't rest. This is a 24-hour job for him. And so make sure we're very aware of how he operates. Last one is, in fact, the one that is the most destructive of all of the evils. And it makes sense if you think about it, because the nafs is within us. It occupies our mental space, right? It fills that inner voice that we have is filled with nafsi thoughts and inspirations and inclinations and ideas. And so it's always present. The nafs wants to indulge all the time in whatever it wants. It's lazy. It procrastinates. It doesn't want to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? It wants to eat and drink and have fun and give in to all of those base desires. It also gives into emotions. So anger, the nafs, will cause us to just basically say whatever we want without any restraint or think consideration about what we're saying. So impulsive behavior and self-serving behavior. So anything that where we manipulate people, lie, deceit, all of those vices and terrible qualities that people take, character flaws, come from the nafs, because the nafs is always thinking about itself. And so we have to know how it operates and make sure that you are holding yourself accountable.